Hello and welcome to the official Haters Euro 2024 Daily Show. I'm your host, Aaron Goldstein, and today I'm joined by two members of the Centre Spot podcast, Freddie Walker and Cameron Lee. A reminder, we're live every day of the tournament at 1 p.m, bringing exclusive training clips, interviews and reports from our team on the ground in Germany. There's plenty of sore heads, hangovers, but jubilation across the country today. On July the 30th, 1966, England won the World Cup. On July the 14th, 2024, it's coming home again. Boys, what are we even going to sing once England win Euro 2024? We can't sing It's Coming Home when it's come home.
I would give a strong recommendation of the Bukayo Saka song. That's essentially why my voice is a bit croaky this morning, because I sung it for about 30 minutes straight yesterday. Maybe also a Jude Bellingham song for their heroic goals in this tournament so far.
For sure, yeah. No, the way I'm feeling, I'm probably going to need a lullaby. And then, yeah, once that sort of sleep comes, maybe I'll be able to put a bit more sort of brain power into this song. But yeah, no, it's well, it's such a good tune though. I mean, I hope we don't stop singing it, even if it does come home. You know, we'll just have to kind of forget about the fact that it actually has already.
So they obviously made the song for Euro 96, and then they redid it for the World Cup 98. They couldn't keep on doing it.
Yeah.
But the thing that I love about the song is it kind of like it takes the mickey out of the fact that we're not that good and we don't win anything. And then suddenly, like, we are good and we very much could. We could win it. Do you think those three need to record a new song, or will we just have our own?
I'm sure there will be a new song that will come out. Maybe
Yeah.
HaytersTV tune for the England team.
Let's get the band back together.
It's going to be so confusing. Anyway, what did you make of England yesterday?
I thought that was the best performance in the tournament so far. I actually quite liked
any team or just by England?
Just by England, definitely not by any team. But yeah, from England, definitely. The first half I thought was strong. Then Switzerland really kind of came into the game. They made a couple of changes and looked like they were going to steal the game. Obviously got the goal. But yeah, luckily Southgate made some pretty reactive changes to their goal, and Saka pulled off a miracle.
Yeah, I completely agree with Fred. Definitely, in my opinion, England's best performance so far this tournament. Admittedly, not very high bar to match there. But yeah, no, it was. I think the way they came out the blocks, they looked strong. It just felt the performance felt a bit more assured. And also, with something we want to remember here, this is a very solid Swiss side who themselves actually didn't lose a game in 90 minutes in the entire tournament. So it was never going to be sort of an easy walk in the park. You know, but yeah, I don't know. Again, there was definitely points in that game where I kind of thought, I had doubts about maybe Southgate's approach to things.
Negativity. Look, today, like all days, there's only one person I want to speak about, and we should speak about Bukayo Saka. I love him. Apologies to my future wife. My love for you will not even compare to the way I feel for Bukayo Saka. You've got no chance, like nothing. Let's look through his performance yesterday with SofaScore. Reminder, you can download SofaScore by scanning the QR code in the top left, or they're using the link in our description. 120 minutes played. He scored a fantastic goal. We've seen him score goals like that before. I think this season for Arsenal, he scored that goal against Newcastle, quite similar. As soon as he hit it yesterday, I went back to that goal against Man United from the season before. And he had 3 shots yesterday, of course, 1 hitting the back of the net. 4 out of 4 successful dribbles, something that other players can't do. Cole Palmer. Key passes 2. He won 2/3 of his duels and a SofaScore rating of 8.4. Man of the match, statistically and according to UEFA. He's England's best attacker, isn't he?
Well, 100%. He's the most dangerous player on the pitch, and it's kind of annoying to me that it's taken this long for other sets of fans to say that, because in the games, if you just watch the previous ones, he has looked the most dangerous player, but it's taken that goal for England fans to go, yeah, okay, maybe he is, but he's been the most dangerous player for England throughout the tournament, and finally he's forced people to accept it.
Yeah, no, look, I think Bukayo Saka is an extremely impressive footballer, and also actually young man. I remember watching the Arsenal documentary by Amazon, and I was watching it, and I found myself saying, like, Cameron, you're going to have to turn this off, because I was like liking Bukayo Saka so much. I thought he just came across so well. You know, and yeah, look, completely agree with Fred. Yesterday, he was by far and away our most potent player on the pitch. But like every time he got the ball, he was the person looking to try and beat the man, try and make something happen. And like, you know, I mean, I think the growth he's made as a player can be symbolised by his improvements in penalties, right? Do you know what I mean? He stood up yesterday. I know maybe you guys as Arsenal fans maybe had a bit more pressure on that moment, but for me, it felt like it was never in doubt. Actually, I felt so confident for him. And yeah, just very, very impressive player. Hopefully he can lead us all the way to glory, boys. Come on.
It was weird. I do feel like Arsenal fans felt a little bit more stressed during that penalty because the backlash that Saka would have got. And again, Arsenal fans feel like Saka represents and embodies Arsenal to all Arsenal fans. I've got a question for you then, Cam, because you're not an Arsenal fan, and I feel like Fred and myself are a bit more emotionally attached. Why do you think that the average football fan can't quite see how good Bukayo Saka is? Because he's never in those conversations of when people talk about the best in the world, and he is.
Look, he's definitely up there, and I think this tournament's going a long way to helping to prove that point. I think, look, too, he's also, you can't forget how young this guy is. You know, he's just at the start of his career, and look, there's maybe been some where Arsenal, they don't get me wrong, Arsenal have been extremely impressive over the last few seasons. There hasn't resulted in glory, unfortunately. Whereas, you know, Bellingham went out and won the Champions League and the league in his first season at Real Madrid. So maybe that would help in terms of, you know, pushing you into that echelon of best players in the world. But look, I think as this kid's career goes by, more and more people will definitely fall into the category of saying, you know, he's up there with the world's very best for sure.
There was one moment towards the end of the game, towards the end of extra time, where Saka sprinted down to close down a Swiss attack. And it was the only time I ever thought to myself, do you know what? He might be a good left back. Where should he start for England? Because obviously he's so versatile. He's so good. He can play left wing back if he's needed there. But the only reason to really have him there, in my opinion, and I'd like to think I've got a bit of a football brain, would be to accommodate for someone else to get into the team. But then again, you're sacrificing one of your better players. What do you think? Where should he start?
Well, we've heard this debate all through the tournament, and I think Saka's put it to bed now. He should be starting in his best position. He's the best player for England so far, and he should be playing right wing, not at left back.
Look, I think I get what you're saying, but I think you also have to look at the squad as a whole. And while Saka's definitely been, you know, one of the best players in terms of what his output for the team, by having him in that role that he played yesterday, for example, like, look, we don't have a lot of fullbacks. We're not blessed with fullbacks, so that problem is well known for England. So if he's able to step in and put performance like that, and also too, I mean, it wasn't really defensive, his approach to the game. He was very much, you know, let's just bomb down forward and see what happens. So look, I get where you're coming from, but I think we've got such attacking talent. It'd be great to try and squeeze as much of that as possible. And if Saka's, you know, capable of doing a job like he did yesterday, then I don't see what the problem with that would be.
Look, there's one player that everybody's been desperate to see so far at the tournament, and yesterday we did see a little bit of him. Cole Palmer. We've taken a look into his stats with SofaScore. So over the course of the tournament, he's played 115 minutes, 29 touches per game. He's not really getting on the ball very much. One shot, it was on target. It was quite tame. Expected assists, he hasn't been too creative, and this is the problem. This is my issue with Cole Palmer, because and don't get me wrong, I think he's fantastic, but I do understand why he's not in the lineup, because he looks good, but he's only completed 1 out of his 8 dribbles. He's not winning many of his duels. He hasn't added much other than the appearance, and appearance can only get you so far. Do you think he deserves more minutes, or really, he's just got a really tough job to get in ahead of Bukayo?
Yeah, I mean, Bukayo's just a better player currently than Cole Palmer, and he's more dangerous than he is. When Cole Palmer's played for England so far in this tournament, he hasn't impressed me at all, to be honest. He's lost the ball a lot. Yesterday, he lost the ball quite a few times trying to beat a man, and when Bukayo tries to beat a man, he tends to beat the man. So yeah, for sure, he just can't get in ahead of him right now.
Look, we mentioned earlier about Saka being at the start of his career, even more so for Cole Palmer. He's only really sort of come into the limelight over this last season. So I feel like for him to really expect to start after that, you know, I think Saka took, you know, maybe a couple of tournaments to really cement that starting place for himself. So, you know, give him time. I do agree with Fred. I don't think he's been the most impressive this tournament. I think it was very underwhelming when he came on against Slovakia. I don't think he had the best of games yesterday when he came on. Although saying that, stands up, first penalty, you know, that's such an important pen that it's probably, I would say, it's apart from the winning one, you know, it's the most important one you can take, gets the team off on a good start. And he, again, looks extremely comfortable. So to say, like, you know, he's offered nothing to the team, to step up and take the first penalty when this is your first tournament, I think actually sort of speaks volumes about the man.
Carrying on just with a little negative before I lift moods back up again. Phil Foden.
Oh God! Well, we spoke about him yesterday, didn't we? Whether he was going to be key and whether England play a 5 at the back, will Phil be through the middle? And to be honest, I don't really know where he was playing yesterday because I hardly saw him. He's been pretty non-existent for England throughout the whole tournament. I have not been impressed at all. And he struggles for form with England. We looked at his statistics in yesterday's show, and they're very, very poor. So I'd like to see a lot more from him.
Yeah, I listened to Gareth Southgate's press conference after the game yesterday, and he actually singled out Phil Foden for a player who had a really fantastic performance. And I don't know if this is like Southgate propaganda or if my football brain just didn't see it. I watched that game yesterday, and I was shocked that when we made our first batch of substitutions, way too late, by the way, I know we'll touch on that in a second, he wasn't one of the players coming off. I felt, firstly, he was very anonymous throughout the game, very rarely saw him get on the ball. And when he did get on the ball, it wasn't sort of forward attacking intent play. It was very slow. It was very sort of, I'd almost go as far to say lazy. And so, yeah, I've been a little underwhelmed by him so far this tournament.
All in all, did 5 at the back work? I thought it was our best performance so far.
Well, I don't actually believe it was a 5 at the back. We all thought that it was going to be Saka left wing back, Trippier right wing back, Konza, Stones, Walker through the middle. But to me, it looked more like Saka was playing as a right winger most of the game. And then you had Trippier on the left for the majority of the game, Kyle Walker on the right, Konza, Stones. And whilst I think it was our best performance, I don't think that was necessarily down to it being a 5 at the back. And it was more so just we fed Saka the ball a bit more.
Yeah, look, I do agree with that. I think, formations can change whether if you have the ball, if you don't have the ball, right? And I think potentially what was happening, we were saying Saka was given license to go forward when we had the ball, and maybe we slid back into a back four.
That's exactly what I thought.
And I think, yeah, I really liked it actually. I think it was our best performance yesterday. I think it gives us kind of the structure that we can go forward and be a bit more sort of attacking, a bit more creative, a bit more free flowing. So yeah, I'd definitely stick with it for sure.
Look, after all the criticism, all the negativity, England are in their 3rd semi-final in 4 tournaments, something they hadn't even got to a semi-final for 18 years previously. Do you know they have to thank? Gareth Southgate.
Go on, Garth.
Bukayo Saka and Jude Bellingham, but yeah, they've helped him out a little bit, Bukayo and Jude. So.
Look, it's 100 not out for Gareth Southgate. That was his 100th game. Don't know if anyone mentioned. You may not find his style of football enjoyable, but the proof's plain to see. He does very well. Let's hear from the man himself.
Surely there has to be some enjoyment in this job. So if I can't enjoy that moment, then yeah, the whole thing's a waste of time, really. So I love the players. I love being in that moment with them. I took this job to try and improve English football, not the seniors when I first joined the Football Association. And I wanted us to regain credibility on a world stage. So I can't deny that, yeah, when it's as personal as it's been the last few weeks, on a human level, that's quite difficult. But
I love him. I really, really, really like Gareth Southgate. I think he epitomises and embodies what we should be as English people, role models. Not many managers reach 100 games in charge of their national team. Let's take a look back through some of the iconic managers who have reached that milestone. Obviously, go Joachim Löw for Germany, Didier Deschamps, who's currently still the French manager, Del Bosque, who was the manager of that ridiculous Spanish team, Santos, who won the Euros with Portugal in 2016, and now Gareth Southgate has joined them. If you look through those win percentages, Del Bosque is, by far ahead of the curve, but he had that Spain team was probably, in my opinion, and many people's opinions, the best international team of all time. Then Didier Deschamps has a win percentage of 64%, Joachim Löw on 63%, and Santos on 62%. Gareth Southgate is above that on 63. 63 divided out of 100 is 63%. He's a fantastic record. The only thing he doesn't have over these managers is an international trophy. But if you look at those numbers that all of they are showing on the screen ahead, he's probably heading in that direction. If football comes home, you will not hear the Southgate slander ever again. It just won't happen. I've got a question for you, because yes, he hasn't got a trophy to his name, but the numbers don't lie. Why is he so underappreciated? Do you know what? I'll go as far as say it. Gareth Southgate is hated by many, many, many people in the English media. Why?
I guess because England haven't won yet. And it feels like with this group of players, England should win. But I agree with you. He is probably harshly criticised pretty unfairly. He has given me, as an England fan, some of the best memories that I'll ever have, and I will remember them for the rest of my life. Last night being one of them, Colombia penalty win, beating Germany in the Euros. These were huge moments, and he talks a lot about it, Gareth Southgate, in his presses and whatnot, saying he's there to give people a good memory, essentially, and he really does do that for the English fans. He gives us great moments that we're forever going to remember. So we have to appreciate that.
Yeah, look, it's a balance, isn't it? Because when an international tournament comes around, the way I picture it, everyone meets together, you sit down, an evening comes around and you expect a really exciting game. And unfortunately, the way that England approach games, it's result first, as it should be. If you want to win a tournament, that should be your main priority, not entertaining the fans, getting the job done. And that is what Southgate is probably too good at doing in a way. It became sort of he's just good at going round by round and just knowing, like, he knew that a draw in that final game, in that group game, was enough to get him through probably. So, it was just, and sometimes I guess that's where a lot of the frustrations come from. But look, to be honest with you, I think it's gone way too far, this hatred. I think we've got to sort of stand back and respect what he's done for this country. We've also got to remember we've had great groups of players before, players that should have gone on and won something, and they didn't get past the quarter final or didn't even qualify for the tournament in some instances. So look, I appreciate the frustrations, but I hope we stand back no matter what happens at this tournament, and sort of really appreciate what he's done for this country, because it has been unbelievable.
I don't know if it's just me, but I genuinely don't understand the frustrations. I get it when it comes to the way we play. We've got really exciting players, and
that can be the only
little
thing,
bit boring.
surely.
In terms of results, let me ask you a question, both of you, and for anybody watching at home. Since Southgate came into the fold, would you say England were better than France in 2018, who won the World Cup that year?
No.
I wouldn't say no.
No, so you can't expect us to win that World Cup. Would you say that we were better than Argentina at the last World Cup? Like, if we got to the final and we played them, would you say 100% England are going to beat Argentina?
Not 100%, but I would have been more confident of that one than
But were
France.
they better than France as well of the 2022 World Cup?
I think in both those tournaments, I think the best team won. I think it's fair to say.
I agree. And then the one game where England fans, the country would have killed to have won, we didn't lose it. We lost on penalties. It happened. It's unlucky. It's heartbreaking, but it's a nightmare. Gareth Southgate has done fantastically well, and it's not appreciated enough by ourselves or anybody else. So yes, Gareth, I'll climb out of brown nosing you now. Look, we mentioned the penalties there. 5 perfect penalties for England. Our 3rd win in 4 shootouts under Gareth Southgate. That's 3 times more than we'd ever won penalty shootouts before he took charge. Let's take a look at the limbs at Box Park Croydon when Trent sent us through. I could watch that all day. I love it. Honestly, England limbs is better than anything. Like, I mean, club over country is a separate conversation, but it's so nice when the whole country is all together. You think of that Trippier goal against Croatia, sure, against Italy. That's going to be up there for us, because this cycle of England doing well at tournaments, it won't happen forever. It won't. Is the penalty curse over now?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Obviously lost it against Italy, and that kind of felt like the curse had come back after Colombia. But yeah, I mean, Gareth Southgate's won 3 out of his 4 penalty shootouts as England manager. Pretty good record.
I think that sort of inner doubt within inside me would say tread very carefully with those types of statements. With, the curse being over, I'm still haunted by some of our previous failures in that. But I think something with penalties, and this is something where Southgate's really stepped up. He's got a few faults, Southgate's, that I think we're going to go into a second. But his processes are fantastic, and you can see that clearly with the penalties. I saw he's completely rejigged how they do it. They used to do competitions and training. It was a bit of a laugh, a bit of a joke. I think Carragher came on in 2006 against Portugal for the final 2 minutes because he won the penalty competition. Like, you can see why we were losing a lot of them. And so now it's very sort of process driven, and we're getting the results from it. So really good stuff.
Do you know what time it is, by the way?
Hit me.
It's time to go back to Bukayo Saka. Look, he must have been nervous ahead of that penalty, but he embraced it. We heard from the face of football at full time.
Bukayo, just from a personal point of view, in terms of your own penalty, potentially exercising some demons from 2021, how did that feel when you looked like you enjoyed it?
Yeah, I think, for me, it's something I embrace. You can fail once, but you have a choice whether you put yourself in that position or not again. And, I'm a guy who's going to put myself in that position. And, yeah, I believed in myself. And, when I saw the ball hit the net, I was a very happy man.
I love him. Look, he went the exact same corner that he missed in the final of Euro 2021. How do you think the country would have reacted? Have we changed as a nation, or like?
Not particularly. I was absolutely petrified that he was going to miss that, and it was going to cause a whole palaver again. He'd essentially saved the nation with that amazing goal, and then I was so scared that it was all going to come tumbling down and that magic moment would be taken away. But he slotted it very well. He kept calm, and I think the best part of it all is just his smile at the end of it, how happy he was to have scored that and kind of got rid of that demon of that Euro goal in the final against Italy. So yeah, it was a very, very nice moment. Magic to see.
Yeah, look, as I said before, I maybe wasn't quite feeling the pressure you boys were as Arsenal fans. I felt pretty confident, actually, as confident as I felt with any of our players that stood up, that he was going to get the job done. I think, again, I mentioned it earlier when we were talking about Saka, but you've really seen, again, so after that penalty miss against Italy, that next season, he pretty much stepped up every single time. And I don't think he's missed a lot for you guys. Maybe one or two.
Just once, yeah.
Just once. So, yeah, as I said, you can tell he's really put the hard work into it. And that just sort of paid off in me feeling absolutely assured that he'd put the ball away.
It felt like when we beat Colombia in the 2018 World Cup that the ghosts of Gareth Southgate's past were kind of gone. And I think the same applies for Saka now. You could say that they went even close after that because he's been so good for England. He's been the standout performer. In my opinion, no bias, genuinely, I think he's been England's standout performer since that Euro 2021 final. But after the game, he spoke about his mentality and paid a little tribute to everybody's favourite former Swiss gunner, Johan Djuru. I'm joking, Granit Xhaka.
Focusing on the past, that's done. I can only focus on now and taking the penalty. Of course, I know there's a lot of nervous people watching, my family included in the crowd, but, I kept my cool and I scored. Yeah, Granit, he's had an incredible season. I think he's won enough trophies already, but, I think he's an amazing player, amazing person, even after they lost, the humility he showed to come and shake our hands. So, yeah, he's a top guy and I wish him all the best. And also the Swiss team, they gave us a good game to.
They did give us a good game, but they're out. Yes. All right. Comments. Anything coming through?
Yeah. So we've had a comment from CMDR. I won't try and pronounce the second part of that. It's quite a tough one. But he said, Southgate cannot read a game. It's not in his locker. That's why the subs are always too late. So something that we'll probably touch on more so later. But I think a very, very valid point in terms of Gareth Southgate's in-game tactics and leaving the subs quite late, and the Swiss kind of changed the games with their substitutions. Then we also had a comment from Okawir saying, I think Gareth should start Gordon ahead of Phil against the Dutch, which I would agree with personally, because Phil Foden, as we've touched on already, has been pretty non-existent in the tournament so far.
Yeah, I've been surprised not to see more of Anthony Gordon and Ollie Watkins because we've scored literally very few goals. We're not that good going forward. Ollie Watkins had a fantastic season in the Premier League. If Phil Foden is starting on merit of having a great season in the Premier League, Ollie Watkins should be there too.
Absolutely.
And Harry Kane, he did nothing in the Premier League last season. But yeah, I'd be interested to see if Anthony Gordon could even get a look in.
I mean, just on that, I think that point about Southgate not being able to read the game, I think that was, again, when we come back to frustrations about Gareth Southgate, that is the one thing you can really throw his way, and he really needs to take it on hard, because it was 0-0. I was saying to the guys while I was watching, I was saying to you, Fred, if Southgate has to change the game, he has to be the person, he has to be proactive. The Swiss make changes at 60th minute, and then we wait for them to score. And I literally said, it was so obvious to see that the Swiss, they made the change, they were well in the game, it was a 50-50 game. Someone who ever changed the game first and brought those fresh legs on, and when they kept those two players came on, they really did impact the game. They were the two best players on the pitch for that 15 minutes. And it shouldn't be taking us going 1-0 down late on in games for us to then make the changes. I would love to see some proactivity from Gareth Southgate. That's the one thing I'd really change about him.
Just to finish off on this, we've also got a poll. So answer the poll if you're watching on YouTube. England versus Netherlands is the question we've asked. We've currently got 78% of the vote going for England and 22% going the Netherlands.
So 22% of you guys are wrong. That's embarrassing. Look, I'm not naive. We may be through to the semi-final, but we have won a grand total of one match in 90 minutes. And out of all the teams to reach the semi-finals, we had the least attempts on goal by quite a way. 17 less than the Netherlands. And we have the least corners too. Are you worried about us going forward?
100%. I believe Saka's shot yesterday was the first shot on target that England had in the game, and Jude Bellingham's 95th minute bicycle kick was the first shot on target we'd had in that game as well. So that's pretty worrying that it's having to be these miracle goals.
I have a solution. Have your shot on target earlier.
That would be ideal, to be honest. Yeah, I wish that happened. And just have a few more shots on target. I don't know why it's coming down to these shots from outside the box and bicycle kicks for us to have a shot on target. It shouldn't be taking that much.
I mean, it could just come down to the fact that we're coming up against teams who are extremely rigid, who have just as much on the line as we do from their perspective. And, look, Slovakia and Swiss both put in extremely sort of commendable performances, especially defensively. I do take the point, though, that, having your first shot on target in the 78th or 95th minute is unacceptable. And you maybe have to look at, maybe the service to Kane potentially. I know Kane hasn't had a great tournament, but he can only work with what he's given, right? And if the balls aren't coming in or the balls not coming to him, then maybe that could be looked at. Potentially going back to your point, Aaron, in regards to, let's throw on Ollie Watkins, let's throw on Ivan Toney a little bit sooner. Let's change the game up a little bit, because when we play the Dutch, if we go 1-0 up early on against the Dutch, Wout Weghorst is coming on to be a bulldozer in the box, because they've got something to change the game a little bit. And I feel like, again, we go back, all roads lead back to Gareth Southgate's sort of inability to be proactive. If we change the games up, maybe we'll be having these issues.
Wout Weghorst, 2 W's in his name, 1 L in the semi-final. England are the most fouled team at the tournament so far, by quite a distance as well. Defensively, we look decent. A few laps of concentration, but it's fair to say, once again, we've been very solid. What did you make of Ezri Konsa yesterday?
I thought he was immense. One of the best players on the pitch. He put his body on the line. He made some incredible interceptions, incredible tackles. To be thrown into a quarterfinal like that, without a huge amount of tournament experience, he's literally played one game, and it was a few minutes at the end of the Slovakia game. That's incredible. It was an amazing performance, and yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him again.
Yeah, he didn't put a foot wrong for me. Something that comes to mind is, I think, Breton Bolo was kind of like, he had a bit of space on the edge of the box. Konsa came across and just completely just took the ball off him. I looked so comfortable. It's a tough one going into the semi-final. He did so much. He definitely deserves a start, but then again, Mark Gahey also deserves a start too. So I'd probably stick to what we were doing there before and bring Gahey back in.
You've taken my question out of my mouth.
Oh, sorry, forgive me. But Konsa, I think Konsa can feel very harshly done by if that is the case, for sure. He was very impressive yesterday.
Okay, let's talk about the subs, because they've been very confusing. When England made the subs against Slovakia, we scored within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Then yesterday we make the subs, we score again. I'm not saying they weren't very much involved.
No.
What an assist from Declan Rice, by the way. What's he doing? Why are we making subs so late? Is it just a matter of being reactive, not proactive? I know that's your line.
It's very strange, the substitution situation, where also in previous games, the most dangerous player has looked like Saka, and he's been taking Saka off. And I swear to you, when it was Cole Palmer, Eze, and Luke Shaw that lined up in that triple substitution, and I fully thought he was about to take Saka off again. And thank God he didn't, because 2 minutes later he goes and scores the goal that levels it. But it's a strange situation, and he should be, like Cam says, proactive and put the fresher legs on earlier. When it's not working and it's quite clear that it's not working, make a change.
I mean, yeah, look, I mean, it's something that we've seen throughout his career. I know you mentioned that Italy game and how it was unlucky that we lost on penalties. Those things do happen. But that was a game where we went 1-0 up, we're at home, and then we wait for the Italians to make a change, and then we react to them. And you'd hope, given that we lost a final, due to his inability to make substitutions at the correct time, he would have had a long, hard look at this. And for the fact that we're now in this position again, even with the France game where we went out to them, certain changes get made at a different point. Maybe that game goes a little bit differently. And the fact we're now in a semi-final now, and we're still sort of saying the same things, and we're still seeing the same issues come through. And then we've, if it wasn't for a 1 in a million chance from Bellingham, and a bit of brilliance from Bukayo Saka, we could be having a very different conversation now. So hopefully, Gareth, if you are watching this, please heed our advice and start making the change a little bit earlier.
Switzerland are heading home from Euro 2024 without losing a game. We heard from their manager, Murat Yakin, at full time.
We won against Italy, almost against Germany. This match today, we are eliminated without a defeat, a real defeat. So from my side, it's a joy to work with the lads. I was really proud during those 6 weeks to be on the pitch every day, to teach them new ideas.
What do you make of Switzerland so far this tournament?
They were really, really strong. They had a great tournament, and they obviously scared a lot of English fans. And when we went 1-0 down, I think most people thought that could definitely be it. But yeah, they had a great tournament, and they can be very proud of that.
Yeah, a great core group of players. Extremely impressive throughout. Rang Germany pretty close. Maybe if they could hold on there, who knows how their tournament could have maybe gone a little bit differently for them. Definitely a really good side. And also, we can't in terms of, I hope when we look back on this tournament, Switzerland aren't thrown in with like, the Ukraines and Swedens that we've got past in the past. It's a really good team.
Yeah,
and it was really hard fought battle yesterday. And we should, England players should pat themselves on the back because it was a job well done.
Look, we've got past that hurdle. Let's take a look at the team we're beating in the semi-final. It's going to be Turkey or the Netherlands, but the latter were victorious. We happy with that from an England perspective?
I would have preferred Turkey, I think. But we can't complain. When the other side is France, Spain, I guess the Netherlands is the most the best game that England could have got.
Yeah, look, if you want to be the best, you've got to beat the best. And I feel like potentially, in a way, if you're thinking long term, I want to take one step at a time here. But if you're thinking about that potential final, if you'll run up to it, is Slovakia, Switzerland, and Turkey. Is that the best preparation to facing a top class, world class team in France or Spain, whoever it might be? So I think it's going to be a really good game, and hopefully this might be the type of team that brings England out a little bit more. The game might be a little bit more open, two very sort of strong sides, and it won't be you won't be facing sort of a low block where teams are sitting back and wait to try and catch you on the counter with a big man like Mbolo up top. So
on that point, Cam, we have a comment from CMDR who said, against the Dutch, I think the game could be quite open and lots of space. I would rather see Watkins with his pace and intelligent runs than Kane ambling around with the centre half glued to him, which is obviously alluding to the fact that obviously Netherlands are going to come at England. And yeah, I agree. I think it could be a more open game, and maybe we'll see a better England than we have so far.
I hope so.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Turkey are out, but they were pretty decent this tournament. We heard from their manager Montella at full time.
We gave it all. We played a great European Championship, in my opinion. We are a team that, together with the Netherlands, probably Spain, won a game more than us. No, Spain won the same number of games as we did in the 90th minute. So we are the team that scored the most. We are the team that made the fans more enthusiastic.
Just like Dappy from N-Dubs, no regrets. Do Turkey win that game with Demiral?
It definitely helps. I can't say 100% they win it, but he would have helped. Obviously, we saw in the last game, whilst he scored 2 goals or was an attacking threat, he was also incredible defensively for them. So yeah, it would have definitely helped. Maybe would have avoided an own goal.
Yeah, look, I feel on the side that the Dutch probably ultimately would have had too much for them. But I mean, if you look at, I was watching the highlights. I was a bit distracted after the England victory yesterday, so I wasn't able to sit down and watch the full game. But if you watch the highlights of it, Turkey had so many good chances in the first half. They definitely, and if they ever someone who's got 2 goals so far in the tournament on the field, definitely would have helped their cause.
Turkey took the lead, not through Demiral, but through another centre back. It was a lovely cross from Arda Güler, who we're not going to touch on today because we've literally spoken about him non-stop for the last few weeks. But when you have Virgil van Dijk at the back, you should not be conceding free headers, in my opinion.
No, obviously Virgil can't be everywhere, I guess, but yeah, it definitely.
Oh my god,
it definitely is an area that England could look to exploit for sure.
Yeah, I think look, any defender has to rely on their goalkeeper, and for me, Verbruggen should have claimed that. I think it was we all talk about that corridor of uncertainty. I would say it was just on the other side towards the goalkeeper, and I feel like maybe he'll be looking at that on the replays this morning and giving himself a bit of a hard time over it.
It took the Netherlands some time to get going, but they eventually got themselves back into the game when they scored thanks to the UEFA Man of the Match, Stefan de Vrij. It was a wonderful header. And once they'd scored, you sort of knew the way the game was going to go. Let's have a look through de Vrij's stats yesterday. He scored his 1 goal, 96 touches, a very odd-shaped heat map. I'm not going to say anything. 77 out of 84 accurate passes, 4 out of his 6 duels, 3 clearances, and a SOUTH score rating of 7.5. You know me, I love it when a player's in the green. It means they're playing very well. Is he someone that we can get past Van Dijk and De Vrij.
Yeah, it's a very powerful centre-back partnership. But obviously, when you've got Bukayo Saka, Harry Kane, Phil Foden, potentially Anthony Gordon, then you'd like to think that they can do something to get past those two.
Yeah, given our goal-scoring record this tournament, and the two players you've just named there, it's not the most encouraging thing in the world. But as I said, hopefully the game will be a little bit more open, and hopefully that'll sort of allow because you've got to remember we've got such great attacking quality on our side, and the Dutch will definitely be a little bit concerned about that, despite how good their defenders are.
We do have such great attacking quality. It's crazy. We haven't even put on Reece Nelson, Eddie Nketiah, or Emil Smith-Rowe. It's mad. Stefan De Vrij spoke to the media after his heroics.
Second half, we kept believing, kept playing, and kept looking for the spaces. They became bigger and bigger, and we stayed patient, and in the end it paid off. And it's also nice to see, that also the last minutes, the team knows how to suffer together, and so I think we can be very happy with a lot of things tonight.
All right, invisible England bias hat coming off. Let's think and get ourselves into the Netherlands mindset, the Netherlands boots for a second. Do you think they're sitting there thinking, this England team, we can beat them?
100%. They'll definitely think they can beat us, especially with the amount of chances they're creating. If they defensively shut shop, they're probably going to get a goal at some point, and they should win the game. But it's gonna be a tough game, and they'll be happy with their draw. The way that they've got to the semi-final is very nice. And England, whilst they're a good team, they're not the best team in the tournament currently.
I think we need to give ourselves some credit here, Fred. I think we're in a very similar position to them. We're looking at these semi-finalists, and we've got the team that we wanted out of the three. They're definitely thinking the same. We're a much easier prospect than France or Spain are. And I think this game, I'm going into this game thinking it's a 50-50. It's a coin flip for me. There's not that much to split between them. And I think the Dutch are aware of that. And I think, the England's performances over the last few tournaments has led to most nations being like, oh God, don't really fancy the English. But I mean, as I said, compared to the French and the Spanish, maybe probably the team you would want to face.
Well, Ronald Koeman is relishing the opportunity to face us.
Something special. We are a small nation, and we're part of the semi-final with England, France and Spain. And we are really proud to get the opportunity to play the semi-final Wednesday. We had to suffer tonight, but that's in the whole Euros, that there is not an easy one.
Look, for the Netherlands so far, the man that's grabbed all the headlines has been Cody Gakpo. But yesterday, Memphis Depay, he looked very good. Let's run through his stats with SofaScore. A reminder to download SofaScore using the QR code in the top left or the link in the description. As far as I'm aware, there's no football today. So there's plenty of time for you to go home and download SofaScore. He played 87 minutes yesterday, got an important assist. He had 4 shots. He was causing a lot of havoc. 3 out of 4 successful dribbles, 24 out of 29 accurate passes, 3 of those being key passes, and a SofaScore rating of 7.9. If he got just 0.1 more, he'd have been blue, which means that you're very, very good instead of just very good. Is Memphis the danger man for England to watch out for, or is it still Cody Gakpo?
For me, it's Cody Gakpo. Obviously, he's had a phenomenal tournament. You've also got a lot of attacking quality in that team. Donyell Marlin obviously got 2 goals against Romania, so there's a few threats, and I'm not a massive fan of Depay's headband.
Yeah, I mean, I only just found out how many goals Depay scored for the Dutch. I think he's on like 48, 49. He's definitely up there in the sort of top 3 or top 4 players in history for them. So I think that longevity and the history that he's got for the team definitely makes him a player you want to keep an eye out for. But I have to agree, Cody Gakpo for me. When we were talking about players of the tournament the other day, he was the one that I threw forward. I've been thoroughly impressed with him, and he's just a tournament player. Obviously in Qatar, he got that move to Liverpool after a fantastic tournament, and yet again he's really delivering. So I'm probably more nervous about Cody.
The Netherlands sealed the win with the 10th own goal of the tournament. That's a third of the own goals in Euros histories. Let's look at all of the stats from Euro 2024 as a whole. We've had 48 matches so far with 108 goals being scored, 98 of those, properly, and 10 of those players flying it into their own net. That stat that was going around on Twitter, that 88% of the own goals being scored were Spurs fans, was Spurs fans, former Spurs players. Complete rubbish, but it was very funny. Most goals scored, Spain and Germany. So France will probably be very nervous heading up against that Spain team into the semi-final, but we'll cover that in more detail on the day of the game. The fewest goals scored was Serbia in a group that had England in it. Penalty conversion, we've had 11 penalties awarded, only 8 scored. Only 8. It's not too bad a record, but we've seen some big misses as well. If we're counting Lewandowski's first miss before the retake. In the shootouts, we've only had 5 penalties missed, which 3 of which were Diego Costa saving. We haven't had that many red cards. We haven't had many moments of serious controversy yet, but lots and lots of yellows. What have you felt about this tournament? It has been a very tactical tournament. We haven't been seeing as many goals as we like to see on the international stage. Does that make the tournament more or less interesting to you?
I guess less. I've heard from a lot of people that they haven't particularly loved this tournament, but personally, I've found it great fun. I've really enjoyed a lot of the games. They are high quality, and there's been the classic team that you don't expect to do well coming through and beating the big dogs and whatnot. So yeah, I think it's been a really good tournament, and now we've got 2 really high quality semi-finals, and so it's going to get even better.
Yeah, look, I completely appreciate any sentiment to those who say it's been a little bit underwhelming. I try and think back to those thrilling games that you normally see a couple of times a tournament. I feel like there hasn't really been any. I mean, look, for me, it's been a fantastic tournament. I enjoy every tournament, and this on more so than normal, I've got to hang out with you 2 chaps throughout the entire thing. So how could I not have a smile on my face?
Before we round up, are there any other comments that we should get to?
Yes, we have one from CMDR saying, tempo and commitment-wise, England still haven't been over 75%. Southgate has got us to this stage without expending too much energy. It's not pretty, but these last 2 games we'll see 90 to 100% energy, which is an interesting point. Hopefully we do see some kind of improvement.
90 to 100% energy after 2 lots of extra time.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And then we have Bright saying England will beat Netherlands.
Well, yeah, he
Fingers
sounds like he is
crossed.
bright. He's correct.
He's also said he's not English, so it's not a
Oh,
bias.
really?
It's not a biased prediction. So yeah.
Loving your work, Brian. Thank you.
Look, boys, it is fully coming home. It's happening. The world will change forever next Sunday. Let's sleep now. We can come back on Tuesday as we preview the semi-final between France and Spain. The winner of that has the honour